Hi there, I'm Keith Cawley, and this is Thrive, a Bridgestone Americas podcast exploring our company through compelling conversations with teammates across our organization. Everywhere you look in Bridgestone, our founding values and core beliefs continue to guide our operations today, as well as our North Star strategy for advancing mobility into the future. What's good for society is good for business, and serving society with superior quality are statements that date back nearly a century that we still proudly reference today. Similarly, the concept of retreading tires to extend product life and reduce resources dates back more than 60 years through our Bandag brand. While this trusted process may be nothing new, it is continuing to create new opportunities for Bridgestone in this evolving mobility landscape, particularly as a central component of our sustainability journey. Today, we talk to two people who are passionate about retreading tires, Jason Roanhouse, Executive Director of Bandag Operations, and Christine Reagan, the Commercial Retread Solutions Lead for our extended mobility team. With them, we'll learn more about this time-tested, trusted process and the new avenues it's offering for the future. We hope you enjoy this conversation. Well, we are joined today by two people who are energetic, enthusiastic about retread tires, a topic that is getting a lot of attention lately around Bridgestone, but has been a part of Bridgestone, obviously, for quite a while. And we're excited to dive into a lot of the detail around it. So Jason Roanhouse from Bandag Operations, Executive Director. Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Christine Reagan, who I want to make sure the Light Truck Retread Solutions Commercial Lead on the Extended Mobility Solutions team, correct?
Yes, well said.
Yes, these are we love our titles that we have to make sure to write down for the descriptiveness, but an exciting area of the business and the strategy moving forward. So excited to talk to both of you about retreads today. Before we do that, love to find out a little bit more about each of you, where you come from to this point, the perspective that you bring to the conversation and the topic. So I guess we'll go opposite end of table from me. Jason, what's been your journey to this point, and how'd you get here?
Yeah, so I started in the transportation industry about 1995, kind of in the parts side of the business on the West Coast. And from there, in Seattle, as I worked up there, I got a call from a company called Bandag looking for sales representatives about 2000. So my journey with Bandag started right about 2000 and has led me just to this point over the last 22 years through a whole variety of different opportunities and great people and activities, everything from commercial-facing technologies that we've deployed, like our sales mobility and our iPads, to our marketing team, to a director of sales role. So I've had the good fortune as Bandag has kind of evolved and then joined Bridgestone to just have a wide variety of opportunities and things that have presented themselves to me in my career over the last 20 years. So it's kind of led me to where I feel today. I'm back home with Bandag, and now I get to take where I started and where I have a ton of passion around the retread industry and Bandag as a process in itself, and apply all of these other things that Bridgestone has kind of gifted me with over the last 20 years to build out that business and join in this sustainability and value journey of Bandag. So
Gotcha.
Just excited to talk to you about it today and where we are and where we're taking the business.
You got it. How long have you been in the current position now?
I've been in this role for about a year, but kind of actively working, obviously, in the Bandag business for, in some capacity, over 20 plus.
Gotcha. Okay. And Christine, how about you? So as we'll learn across the conversation, when we talk about retread, there is Bandag as a part of the business, as a brand, but retread goes a little bit beyond just Bandag. Tell us about where you fit into all of this.
Right. So I started my journey. I spent the first 10 years in actually the electrical industry, working in different roles, operations focused, so procurement, supply chain, project management. And then my husband wanted to move to Nashville, so we ended up moving here for his job, found a role at Bridgestone, and spent the first 2 years moving our businesses from Indianapolis down to Nashville, because that's when we announced the move. So that was a lot of fun. Ended up running the global procurement for one of our divisions, Firestone Industrial Products. Yeah. And then I was like, well, it's great to know the operations side and the details of the business to some extent, probably not as well as Jason, but I wanted to learn more about the customer and the customer-facing side of the business. So moved into product management, did that for a couple of years, and then now I've been in the Extended Mobility Solutions group for the last 2 years. And we work on, as you said, anything extended mobility related. So for me, specifically retread for last mile, and we'll talk about that hopefully later on. Yeah. Big focus area, also a non-pneumatic technology. So where are we taking, the future of tires and developments there? But we also have teammates that focus on technology like RFID. How do we make sure we get Jason the right casing so we have enough to retread in the industry? So kind of really, a broad spectrum of projects that we have in our team.
Yeah, no, it's helpful as we've gone along the conversations of the podcast. There are all of these emerging kind of phrases or words that were part of this North Star journey, right? Extended mobility and extended mobility solutions being one of those that we continue to come across. So retread being in that bucket, before we talk about maybe specific areas, can we talk about retreads in general? So the concept of retreads, I guess, where does it fit into the larger picture of this North Star strategy as we look at maybe the future of the ABC model across that, and also where has it fit to this point in the company's journey?
Sure. And Christine, I'll just touch on this because what you were just talking about with the emerging markets and where we want to take the business overall, we have this great platform that's existed for almost 65 years with Bandag, right, in the retread industry. And it was actually sustainable before sustainable was really anything that anyone was talking about. It was initiated because it was an economic driver for fleet customers. So when we think about kind of the Bandag business and where we are today and where we want to go, my responsibility, why this is fun with Christine today, my responsibility is that traditional Bandag business and our franchisees and our franchise network. And it fits so well with Bridgestone because we have always been such a high quality new tire manufacturer and supplier, and we've had such a customer relationship focus that the Bandag business itself, before we came together around 2007, 2008, had that same strategy. It had that same kind of relationship sense about an aura. So it fits so well as we brought it together that now you have these great products in the commercial tire space, but you have a way to reuse them that's effective. So when I think about Bandag, I don't think about products, I think about process, and I think about raw materials and casings, and then I think about, to Christine's point, how she's going to apply technology and how the ATC and the technical team is going to apply technology in order to kind of expand and broaden our horizons, and how that's how, in my mind, that's kind of how it fits into the sustainability or the North Star vision, is we have a platform that exists, we have a dealer network and a franchise network that exists, and now we have this foundation to build out our vision from A, where we kind of, keep the market rolling, working with fleet customers, driving value consulting, all the way through B, where we start to apply solutions and technologies into a true solutions business where everything is integrated and we realize all the full synergies of Bridgestone and Bandag.
Yeah. And I guess as retread, for retread in a nutshell, for people who don't truly, they hear the term, maybe they haven't seen or touched and felt a tire. And I guess maybe you're learning more about this as you've been in the new role the last couple of years. But how would you describe to someone who doesn't know what retread means, what is retread?
Yeah, I guess at the very basic level, right? Well, to be honest, when I joined Bridgestone, I thought tires were injection molded, right? So to go down to Laverne and actually see how tires are made and that they're being built and the process that goes into it, it's just one of those things that I think as you grow up, tires are there, right? You're using them every day, but you don't really pay attention to it. So retread is really reutilizing the core of the tire. So what you're using is the tread, right? As you look, you check your tread depth on your tire, how much have I used, and as that wears down. But underneath that, you have the core of the tire. We call it the casing. We've referenced that before. And so the retread process is taking that casing, buffing it off, right, preparing it ultimately to put a new tread back on it so that the tire and the base casing can be reused. And that's the key sustainability piece, right? It's reusing the casing and saving in materials that you use to rebuild it, right? Energy, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. And so from a Bandag perspective, when we talk to a fleet customer, if you think about Waste Management or United Parcel Service, UPS, that you see every day, or any of the trucking companies on the road, we profess that, and we consult them, that when you buy a truck tire, you're buying two things. You're buying a consumable, the tread, and you're buying a casing, an asset that has value that you need to maintain, and then you can maximize the life. And that casing has so much cost and all the sustainability wrapped in it. The more times that you can retread or utilize the Bandag process to reinvest in that, overall your cost per mile or your cost per whatever you're doing as an industry, delivering packages, soda, groceries, picking up garbage, is going to be lower. So that's kind of, from my standpoint, when people think about retreading, they kind of think about what they've heard in the news, or they think about, heaven forbid, what they see on the highways and that kind of thing. But that, in fact, isn't the case. the situation is that casing is designed for multiple uses, and that tire is built as two components. And if you take good care of it and you maintain it, you won't see it on the highway. You'll be able to get maximum value extracted from it.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the casing tire pun in there, that's not exactly the case, both literally and figuratively. So I think that lends us to really just a quick address of what are some of the misconceptions, right, that I think people would naturally have around retreads, because you think of something that you're taking a core and applying something back on top. Does it become less durable over time? Is there a wear issue? And I guess you talked a little bit on it, but how do you address it with customers and then general awareness in the world of those misconceptions? Sure.
So there's the casual conversation like we're having right now, where someone says, "Oh, retreads," and they have a connotation that kind of, it comes through in and how they express that. But the fact of the matter, when we think about retreads, it's all maintenance, right? So we talk about air pressure, we talk about maintaining that core asset. And battling that perception, in that when you show someone the retread process and you walk them through a Bandag manufacturing facility and you start to see the technology that goes into inspecting that casing. I mean, we have literally our dealers, each franchised Bandag dealer who manufactures our finished product has at least $250,000 to $1 million invested in inspecting that casing. So if the fleet customer is taking care of it and it's gone through the Bandag process, we have a less than 1% failure rate. Out in quote unquote the real world, as we would say, as far as the product itself, far less than 1%. So, which is consistent with almost every other manufactured product out there. So, when we have that and then there is a ton of data from NHTSA and from other studies that just goes to the durability and the reliability of retreading, especially over time as we continue to apply our technology to it.
Yeah. And I think as we look at that industry as a whole, where we're going, you talked a little bit, Christine, about this last mile delivery. You've talked about customers that exist currently, large fleets. This seems to be an emerging area as we look at the Amazon trucks on the road and how over the shift of, retail and consumer consumption of packaged goods over the last couple of years is a lot of this delivery from a distribution location to the house. I guess that's a little more of your area then. Where are we thinking of this as we go into the future?
Yeah, last mile's been around forever, right? And it's been growing, but I think the pandemic specifically has shown all of us how much we can order online, and likely that we won't go back to it.
I'm doing it right now. It's amazing. Yes, right. Multitasking.
So, last mile is going to continue to grow, right? And it's just a segment that we need to be aware of. It's roughly 16 million tires today, right? It's going to continue to grow. Like we said, we have core customers today that are in that segment already. But what's really interesting is that, again, like you said, the vehicles that show up at our house, right, are usually the smaller type vans, right? It's the Amazon van, it's the FedEx van, right? It's the Sprinters, vehicles like that. And we do really well with retreading, and we're servicing large fleets, right, with that as well. On anything really what we call class 4 through 8. So think of it more like your UPS truck that's showing up, right? The step-in vans or your commercial vehicles. And so those smaller fleets, we haven't serviced that well in the past. And so it's a growing segment. It's a continuing growth in those smaller and medium fleets. And so we're really interested in seeing what we can do for those fleets. From an application standpoint in tires, and really I think why it's so interesting for us is package delivery, again, your order on Amazon right now, is the largest segment. And so we see that those tires don't last very long. I just changed my tires after probably 4.5 years the first time on my vehicle. And so where I buy one set of tires, they have to buy 15 set of tires to cover that same time frame. And those tires today just get thrown away. They don't get reused. We don't retread them. And so, first of all, it's bad for the fleets, right? They spend a lot of money buying new tires. It's very costly for them. And we have practices in place in the commercial side of the business where we're servicing these fleets, as Jason said, right? Where we're tracking them, where we're reusing these casings and retreading them. And so it's just, in general, it's an interesting market that we need to be part of, right? And it's a great opportunity for retread because we can bring that value of reusing that casing, drive efficiency for the fleet, right? Bring in our dealers, our network to really provide that service, and then be more sustainable for everyone around.
Absolutely. We've reached such a great environmental inflection point in our industry. So, I mentioned that Bandag's been around for nearly 65 years now, and our traditional business model still drives so much value into large fleets. But when you think about the importance now of sustainability to every customer, and you think about how the market has changed, even traditional trucking companies that you see with 53-foot trailers and sleeper cabs on the interstate every day, they're investing in smaller equipment. When we say last mile, it's not just the last mile in that urban area delivering packages or doing things like that, or Amazon. It's so much bigger than that. We have large customers that are now investing in smaller equipment, and they understand the economics of retreading, and they also are more involved because of the importance of the sustainability message. You don't read, for one of our largest customers, Penske, for example, you don't read an annual report where you don't have a sustainability message. Yep. And one of the things we're doing at Bandag that supports not only what Christine is doing with Last Mile and this evolution in the fleet business, is we're starting to translate that program into a sustainability and environmental message. We're trying to give that customer something that they can seamlessly insert into their value proposition or their annual report to demonstrate their environmental awareness and how their tire program is driving their objectives toward, CO2 neutrality or carbon reduction, or footprint reduction, or whatever it might be. So, the whole thing is coming together really nicely right now at this inflection point where our traditional process is going to continue to evolve, and where Christine and the team is working is, how do we serve that market better? Yep. And how do we not only take advantage of the business opportunity, which of course is important to us as an organization, but how do we take advantage of the fact that we also want to be what's good for society?
It's good for business, yeah. And it's great to have that.
I like it. Nice.
Yeah, it's great to have that tailwind, So it's all the big fleets and the big companies that are doing that, right? I mean, Microsoft, just look around, right? Everyone has their strategies, but it's also the governments, right? It's both at the local level and at the federal level that are starting to really care, right, and drive this. And so I think it's great. It's a North American-based job market, right? It's sustainable. I mean, there's a lot of good things that come with that, and it's also a great differentiator for Bridgestone. Competitors are retreading too, but we have all of those touch points, right, both on the commercial as well as on the consumer side. And so being able to leverage that to service that last mile delivery market, is really going to be exciting for us.
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to touch real quick on like the Bandag business model or the network, right, that allows you to be able to scale for these types of business opportunities, right? Because you talk about we have franchisees really, but what is the network, I guess, that Bandag serves?
Yeah, that's really a great topic that we need to touch on, because when people think about Bandag, they think about the retread or they think about the product. The reality of Bandag is that it's a process. Yeah. It's an amazing tread product that gives you extended life and the characteristics of the tire that you want, traction, long wear, fuel efficiency, all the things you look for when you're, making a decision on a tire. But Bandag itself is a process. And the evolution of our network is really, as it started, interesting story, and I'll maybe digress a little bit as we talk here, because
let's wander.
I wonder if we've got a lot of people out there don't know what is a Bandag. What is where did this come from?
Yeah,
How
sure.
did we? So Bandag is actually two components. The BAN is Bernard A. Nowak. He is the innovator of the process in Germany in the late 40s, early 50s, roughly. So BAN, Bernard A. Nowak. DAG, the D is Darmstadt, Germany, which is where it was incorporated. AG is German for incorporated. So Bandag is actually the initials of the innovator, the city in which it was incorporated, and German for incorporated. And we had one of those entrepreneurs from the Midwest of the U.S. who happened to be getting in a taxi cab. And he saw these really unique looking tires on this taxi and started asking questions and traced down the owner and purchased the brand from him and took it to Muscatine, Iowa, of all places, right? And then he found these people that said, truck tires are really expensive even in this day and age in the 50s. And what if we could reuse these truck tires? Because they really didn't last at all back in the day. And so these people said, oh, that's a great, you know what? I might want to get into this franchise business. What do I need to do it? Well, you need this equipment. Problem is I'm broke. So if you want to be a Bandag franchisee in the 50s, you're going to have to invest in the corporation in order to be a franchise. So that's how the whole model kind of started. It was this mutual investment of these people. And frankly, some of these people are still the grandparents of the people today who run these, all the way from modest size, great businesses, to these quite large tire dealerships that are multi-state, across the country. So that's kind of the history of it. But the Bandag itself is the ability to take that casing, inspect it thoroughly, prepare it properly, and manufacture it within a Bandag franchise manufacturing facility. And what we do as a franchisor is we monitor the quality, we assist with the maintenance, we innovate all of the equipment, we try to speed up the process, and we try to make the dealers as efficient as possible to serve the fleet customer, because everybody's always taking cost out of everything, of course, over time. But yep, like Christine said, we're a huge job provider in the retread market, not just Bandag, but the entire retreading industry. And we're starting to see more and more on the sustainability piece. But so that's really Bandag kind of encapsulated, or in a nutshell, as far as what the process is and what the business is.
Yeah.
So if I can jump in.
Sure.
Just for the record, I'm from Germany, so for that.
We're getting the origin stories here.
Yes,
I like it.
yes.
But so we've taken this, right? We've taken like that history and that scale, and I had to learn this, but we have, I think, 200 retread locations within the Bandag network, right? And over 2,500 like customer touch points where there's retail outlets, right? Where really our dealer network can reach the customer. And now you pair that with our BSRO footprint, right, of another 2,000 plus, stores that we have there. So again, one of the key differentiator for Bridgestone, if you compare that to, our good and well-positioned competitors in the tire market, but, something that we need to utilize, and I think we do pretty well.
I think we do a great job of leveraging our network. And to that point, it's all consistency. It's all, if you purchase a Bandag retread or process anywhere in the country, you're going to get it elsewhere. So no matter what company you are, no matter where you travel, you're going to have not only the quality of the retread, but you're going to have the consistency of that Bridgestone dealer. You're going to have the consistency of service. You're going to offer ancillary products and services like wheel reconditioning to refurbish wheels and do things like that. Anything you might need. And then we start to weave in our technology and our North Star journey toward a solutions company. We start to think about RFID and things like that. We can scale that so much faster using not only our new tire presence and our market share, but using the 45 to 48% on any given, to point that you want to kind of calculate what your market share is in retreading. Yeah. Right now we're sitting at 48% of the market. You can touch an awful lot of tire casings and execute on technology and awfully fast when you have that kind of scale already in the market and the product is already in use. So it really is going to be a huge enabler for us, we believe.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. That's like the behind the music Bandag story right there as we look to the history, the journey to this point. And I think that takes us into a nice area to close the conversation on, which is the future, right? We talked a little bit about last mile delivery, but I guess then beyond that one that we're very focused on right now, I'm sure there's natural curiosity. Like, I drive a car with tires on it every day. Can we retread my tires, right? I think it's a natural question, but I guess what is the evolution of our thought and our process for both of you? We'll start with Christine, but as we look towards beyond last mile delivery in the future.
Yeah. I mean, there's other vehicles that are being retreaded, and as Jason said, that have been retreaded in the past as well, right? If you see the U.S. Postal Service vehicles driving around, right, there's likely a retread involved. Some of the New York City taxis are running on retread. So there's definitely other segments. And we have that vision to go there as well, right? I mean, for us as a business, ideally, we want to retread. I mean, we joke we would like to retread bicycle tires, right? So anything that's out there and that's available. But it's a journey, right? And it's a journey that we need to work through on multiple different facets. And I think one of the key things is we have this process and we're optimizing it. We're working through that. Now you have different types of vehicles coming into the mix, right? So electric vehicles, how are they going to work? What other requirements is the boss going to have, our customer? What do we need to do with the products that we have and the services? So certainly we see the consumer world on the horizon, but that last mile delivery component is a great step to get there, right? It's taken really the large vehicles that we see out there, breaking it down into a smaller class, smaller size tires that really are the same size tires that could go on your vehicle, to be honest, but it's more commercial business setup. The application is a little bit more opportunistic, so we're starting there, and as we get that off the ground, then we have a good runway into the next segment.
Yeah, I think we envision a day when really for the consumer of a tire, it becomes about worry-free transportation, right? Solutions for your journey, and the journey is what matters. And so we want to be transparent to the consumer, but we want to make sure we're executing on our strategy, on our sustainability and our vision. So when a consumer sees a tire on their vehicle, just as a component of the vehicle, and whether it's retreaded or new or otherwise, they have no concern over it. It's completely transparent to them. They're just going on their Christmas holiday. It could be a retread, it could be otherwise. But for us, good stewardship of the environment, it's value creation, and it's value extraction for the business. So I really think that what we have today positions us well to explore these things with the teams that, like what Christine is doing right now, to where we can evolve the business kind of beyond this commercial network into something that serves society on a broader scale. So
extends mobility, right?
Extends
to bring it full
mobility.
circle
Yeah,
from the start of the conversation.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we heard it here first. We love breaking news on the podcast, and the fact that we're going to start retreading bicycle tires in the future. The Tour de France competitors will be, if they get a puncture, they'll be able to just go and do that on the side. This is exciting stuff. It's very, very good for the future. We'll hold you all very much to it. No, but I mean, it's a fun topic to discuss because it has the opportunity. It is a core part of the business at Bridgestone, but is a kind of an evolution and an alternative approach to it that has, as we've talked about, great value. So we appreciate both of you taking the time to share the value, share the insight, and kind of a little bit more under the hood of how Bandag and Retread is moving and shaking. So Jason, thank you for the time. Christine, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us. And it's always fun to talk about the Bandag story. There's a little bit of passion on this side of the table.
That's what we like to bring out. Exactly.
Yeah.
So appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
So the proof points are pretty powerful in backing up the benefits of retreading that were outlined by Jason and Christine. For starters, over the past 6 decades, Bandag retreading operations have kept 300 million tires out of the waste stream, and they've saved some 4 billion gallons of oil when compared with the production of new tires. In 2020 alone, Bandag's retreading of 6 million tires saved 4.8 billion kilowatts of energy compared to what it would take to manufacture that many new tires. That is enough energy to power more than 165 million homes for one day. That's more than the entire household number in the United States. If you like this conversation, be sure to check out some of our other episodes wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. While there, you can give us a rating, a review, and as noted in Season 3 here, you can watch some of our episodes on the Bridgestone Americas YouTube page. Just go to YouTube/Bridgestone Americas, or you can type Bridgestone Americas into the YouTube search bar. And of course, you can always reach us via email. Just send a note to thrivepodcast@bfusa.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Keith Cawley, telling you to keep on keeping on, and remember that at Bridgestone, today, tomorrow, together, we thrive. Be good, everybody.